I was going to, so I'm going to start recording. Oops. Okay, it looks like it's recording. So again, welcome, and again, this is the outline for the meeting tonight. So we're going to do a quick overview of our staff. We're going to look at how do you know what your schedules are for your students? How do you know what schedule they should be following during the day? And hopefully, if you're on here, you already know that. But again, with this recording, I hope that if it'll clear up any confusion if people still need to figure out how to know their teacher schedules. We're going to look at online expectations because it is not the same, but we still do have expectations for learning online because this is in fact the school year. How we're going to provide supports for IEPs, some ideas for creating home workspaces, iReady assessments. This is a requirement for our school in tracking progress. We're just going to review that real quick. Counseling resources, health office or nurse resources, technology help, and prime time sign up, and then if there's time for questions. Okay, so let's just dive right into it. Those are the items we're going to talk about tonight to kick off the year. My slide, there we go. And you know, if you saw my morning announcements or Monday morning meeting, we're going to do those recordings and we're going to post those to YouTube, and I'll post those in Class Dojo every week. But I like to have a quote of the week, and for the students, I had a different quote. I had a Thomas Edison quote.
Hello.
For this presentation, I put something from Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein says, we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. A lot of the problems going on in the world right now we are not directly involved in, obviously, but we can, as we think about how we interact with our communities and our families, how we do school, let's think about just new ways of looking at it, and let's create solutions that work for us, work for our school, work for our families, and work for our communities. So that's kind of the motivation or inspiration. I love all these quotes from our, brilliant minds over the years, but today we started with Albert Einstein. All right, welcome and bienvenidos. We're happy to see you and learn with you. And I've created a slide here just to take a moment and realize that we know this experience is difficult. It can be, it's different, it can be difficult, and has probably changed your life. Our routines have changed, we've suffered in different ways, and we've seen people step up and help. We've taken time to reevaluate our lives, solve problems every day, and make arrangements for work and for our kids. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. And one of my favorite education authors said, change is an opportunity to do something amazing. And although there can be challenging times, oftentimes some of the most innovative ideas have come out of a challenging situation. Some of the most courageous character we've seen from people has come out of challenging situations. So I think just as a matter of perspective, and I know we've all been there, and we can empathize with one another on different levels of the challenges we faced. But certainly, if we can take a moment to think about, what is my opportunity in this? What is your opportunity in this? What is your family's opportunity in this situation that you could pivot on or make a decision about? So keep that in the back of your mind as we progress through this year. So this is where I'm going to have you take a moment. How are you doing? And we're not going to have people unmute their microphones because it could get a little noisy, but I want you to take 30 seconds of private reasoning time. This would be something we would ask students to do sometimes. Take some private reasoning time in your mind to reflect on this past week, the first week we had at school, where there was morning meetings and then online learning independently for parents and for students. Take a minute or 30 seconds to reflect on that. And then I want you to talk to whoever you're with there. If your kids are there, if your spouse is there, if your family is there, take about 2 minutes after you reflect for 30 seconds and say, what went well last week and what was difficult last week? Okay, so take, again, in total, 2.5 minutes. What went well last week? What was difficult last week? And I want you to think about that and talk about that as a family or whoever's there with you. Okay, we're going to come back in 30 seconds. All right, you can wrap up your conversations with your family about what went well last week and what was difficult last week. And as you think about that, again, we're not necessarily going to share out here at this moment, but when you think about that, then think about how you want to plan for this week. What's going to be different this week? What's going to be better this week? What do you have more control over this week now that you know what you know? And hopefully I'll answer some questions through the presentation tonight about this online experience. But of course, then save your questions for the end as well, so that we can make sure you walk out of here with information well equipped to be successful in this school year. Okay. All right, so meet our soaring teachers. We have our teachers, of course, with online learning, everybody's come up with generally this new online persona. For our teachers and many teachers around the world, actually, they're coming up with some sort of online persona. And one of these things is what we call a Bitmoji. And maybe you already have those. Maybe you've heard of that already. But a Bitmoji is basically just a little avatar of yourself. And so our teachers, here is our teaching staff in Bitmoji. We have Miss Kepler Gonzalez, who's one of our kindergarten teachers. She teaches kindergarten in English. We have Miss Salas. She teaches kindergarten first grade in our biliteracy pathway. We have Miss Werner, who teaches first grade in English. Miss Wisdom, first and second grade combo, and she teaches that in English. We have Miss Martinez, and she is our first, second grade combo teacher in the biliteracy pathway. Miss Mortel Davis is our 2-3 second, third grade teacher in the English pathway. Miss LeClaire, third grade English. Miss Oliger, fourth and fifth grade combo class in biliteracy. Mr. Tirado, third, fourth grade combo in biliteracy. Miss Robertson, fifth grade in English. Mr. Briviesca, fifth grade biliteracy. Miss Delgado, fourth grade English. Miss Tokars is on here tonight, and she's our new education specialist coming to us for the first year. Miss Hoskins is our speech and language pathologist. Miss Thies is our PE teacher. She's also on here tonight. And Miss Aragon Kudal is we have a new program for TK 4-year-olds. Half the program is 4-year-old, half the program is TK age. And Miss Aragon Kudal and Miss Castaneda co-teach that class. 12 and 12, we have 12 TK and 12 4-year-olds, so it's a new model. And then Miss Bernard is TK Kinder in the biliteracy pathway. And Miss Gutierrez is our other ed specialist. We have 2 ed specialists at Edison. And Mr. Hoffman is our school psychologist. And then of course there's me, Dr. Leah, I'm the new principal. Miss Mendez is our school counselor, and she will be going on a leave shortly. We will have a substitute. The substitute we had assigned just received a full-time job, so we're happy for her, but sad for us. So we're waiting to find out who the new substitute will be. Mr. Raglan is our resource teacher, and he runs our ELAC. So many of you might know him. And Mr. Yor is our school nurse. And unfortunately, I don't have a Bitmoji for him yet, but I'll get one. And he's our school nurse, and we'll have some more information about that. Okay, and of course, as you know, we have many classified staff that I didn't list up here yet, but they are an incredibly talented, wonderful group of people, and they help make sure everything runs smoothly to ensure that what goes on in the classroom is effective and is efficient. And that includes our office staff, our noon duty support. When you came up to get your belongings, you probably ran into or saw all of them. And they're so happy to see you and work with you again. All right, so for teacher schedules, just a quick sort of overview of how are you going to know your teacher schedule. So if your teacher has, for example, Miss Salas, how do you know Miss Salas's schedule? The first thing you need to do for sure is to go into Class Dojo, and she will post her schedule in there. If it's not the first thing that you see on her class story, it's going to be somewhere down on her class story if she posted it days prior. So look on Class Dojo to find your teacher's schedule. If your teacher doesn't post it on Class Dojo, they probably are going to send it to you or email it to you directly. If you're not getting it either of those ways, then please make sure you contact me, and I'll have more contact information, or just reach out to the teacher. And I'm sure it was probably posted somewhere. Maybe it was in Clever, but I believe everybody at this point has put their schedule in Class Dojo to be visible to parents. So that way you'll know when it's going to be live whole group synchronous time, or when it's going to be small group time for your child, or when it's going to be independent work, and all the different types of schedules that go on in the day. If you saw my letter, you saw that the school day is going to range from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's because some teachers' schedules vary based on their students, based on the families, based on their own personal children's schedules and things like that. We had to work around all these different things these days. So that's why that window is there. However, it is still, as far as time, 3 hours per day of some sort of live time in small groups or on the computer. And then 1 hour a day, teachers have office hours. And those office hours might be one-on-one. They might be a meeting with a parent such as yourself. It might be some other work that they have to do, but generally that's when they're available to you to solve problems, to troubleshoot different issues, or to work on something that maybe the student needs extra help in. So those are office hours. And then teachers have 2 hours per day of, we call it flex time, but it's basically holding meetings like IEP meetings, staff meetings, professional learning. And during that time, they're going to assign work for your child to do at home. And independently, not on the computer necessarily. Some of it might be through one of our other programs, but it's not going to be with the teacher. It's going to be students' independent work. Okay. So anyways, you'll see those schedules in Class Dojo, or the teacher emailed them to you. And then second, log in through Clever. So hopefully by now, everybody knows how to log into Clever. Once you're logged in with your single sign-on into Clever, you can see Seesaw, Google Classroom. You can see Benchmark, the English Language Arts and Spanish Language Arts curriculum. You can see in the Envision Math, Savas. You can see all these other supplements like ST Math and other ebooks and things like that. So everything should be in Clever for you to access. And then of course, specifically, if you have a TK through second grader, except for the third graders that have Miss Ibarra and Miss Mortel Davis, they are all going to be using, I'm sorry, Miss Mortel Davis, the second graders, and Miss Ibarra, the second graders, are going to use Google Classroom, whereas normally they would use Seesaw, but because they have a split class, they're all using Google Classroom. But otherwise, if you have a TK through 2 teacher, they're going to be in Seesaw, and they're going to post all of their assignments in Seesaw. And that's where they're going to communicate with you. So if you are wondering what the assignment is for tomorrow, what is the independent work for tomorrow, that should be posted in one of those 2 platforms. So either Seesaw or Google Classroom. And if you don't know which one your teacher is posting, you can reach out to the teacher, or you can check in Dojo. They post a lot of that information in Dojo to make sure that you know where to go. Okay, so that is about teacher schedules. All right, online learning expectations. So I just put down 4 different online learning expectations generally. So these are general learning expectations for online because this is their school year. In the spring, it was the work was optional, but now it's not optional, it's their school year. So all of the work that and the classes and all the online experiences are mandatory as if they're a regular school day. So make sure, number 1, attend and check Dojo every day. So you have to attend to your live sessions and check Dojo every day because attendance is taken every day and all the updates are in there. Number 2, be on time and ready to learn with your materials. So the important things to remember here, if your teacher has a sign-on time of, let's say, 9 a.m., that means you should be ready to go and the computer is on and you're sitting in front of your screen with your materials at no later than 9 a.m. You might even want to get on at 8:55 or a few minutes early, so that way the teacher knows you're there, we're ready to go, and she can start taking attendance, she or he. So be on time and ready to learn with your materials. And your materials are generally, and some teachers might ask for different things, but your laptop, of course, and make sure that it's charged and you're in a place where it can be plugged in. So if you can be in a location where you can just keep it plugged in, that's perfect. But if you have to go somewhere else, just make sure it's charged up so that it can take the video conferencing, because that takes a lot of battery. So just make sure it's charged fully so that they don't run out of battery in the middle of the lesson. It probably will include some sort of writing utensil like a pencil and a notebook, whatever that might be, whether it's math books or the workbooks or the actual notebook, lined notebook. But bring that with you. And then I believe most teachers, if they haven't already communicated this, are going to use their whiteboards. There's a little whiteboard, it's about the size of your computer, and there's a whiteboard marker. So they're going to want to usually have the student write something and show them on the screen. So make sure that they have all of that in their learning space. And we know that everybody's, home and living situation is different. I'm going to talk a little bit later about just creating a space in the home that whatever it is, no matter what the size, no matter what the room it is, that you can just create that space, and you think about certain things when you're creating that space, so that it's a dedicated learning space. That corner or that spot is a dedicated learning space. And then number 3, do your own work. It's really important that the students do their own work. I know it's often easy and to want to be helpful, whether it's an older sibling or a parent or a relative. Someone sees the work and says, oh, I can help you with that. But it's really important, and the teachers specifically wanted to stress this, because we have certain tools that if the student doesn't do their own work and someone helps them with their work, then we don't really know what the student can do and then build their lessons upon that. Then we have like this false idea of what they can do. And so we want to make sure that they do their own work, so we can see when they're struggling with something, we can go and support. Or we can see that they're missing something and we can go support. Okay? So that's really important. The students do their own work. And then number 4, all assigned work must be completed. Again, this is the school year. So this is their learning experience. This is their school year. So all work must be completed. And again, I mentioned that's going to be in Seesaw and Google Classroom. So everything that the teacher posts is required, unless they tell you it's not required, but everything else is going to be required. Okay, so that's a change from the spring, and I just want to make sure that that's clear. Okay, because we want to make sure that everyone's progressing and learning at their highest potential. So it's really important that they follow these, simple guidelines. Okay, this is in Espanol, so I put it in here when I post it. That way you can see these also in Espanol. It didn't fit on the other slide. Okay, I'll give it a second. So again, this is being recorded. Once we post it, you can pause the screen if you need to read over these. Okay, grading. Students will be graded on their work completion, as I mentioned in the previous slide. So this is how teachers are assessing their learning. They are going to be graded on the work completion and the progress. So again, students should be doing their own work. Now, teachers are holding their live whole group and small groups classes every day. And again, you're going to see Class Dojo for schedules and announcements. So that's something that you're going to need to do every day. And that's part of the grade. I mean, the attendance is part of this experience of what is expected, okay? And then teachers are going to post their assignments daily in the Seesaw or Google Classroom, as I mentioned before. And when they complete those assignments, that is going to be graded. When they have assessments, usually the teacher will work out some, way to do assessments effectively, and those will be graded as well. And of course, all of the work that we're doing is around the standards for the students at each grade level and each content area. So we're teaching to the standards because we want the students to grow in all those areas. And again, and I know sometimes when we think about grading, well, if I help them, they're going to do better, they're going to get better grades. But that's not the point. We want them to grow at significant levels, and we need to know where they're at when they're doing that. So it's kind of like a line. There's help, but there's also kind of doing it for them. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, again, when we, some tips, I guess, on supporting your student at home. Okay, and again, all work officially counts now. All right, iReady assessments. iReady is one program that we subscribe to at Edison, and they actually have a whole system. And you probably, if you're not new, you probably already have done this. Your student has done this, and you've had independent work through this. But we are going to be offering these assessments between now and October 2nd. Teachers are going to work on completing them in small groups with students. And again, it's so important that the student does this on their own because it sets the path for the whole year. So if they get an inflated, score on the assessment and it looks really great, but when the student is working independently, that's not where they usually work. It's all the independent work that the system or this program provides isn't going to be appropriate for them. So we just want them to do their own work so that everything that we give them is appropriate to their developmental level and we call zone of proximal development, which is basically making sure that they make incremental growth at where they're at. Okay, so that's why it's so important that the student does this themselves. Okay. All right, here's some ideas for the homework workspace setup. And here's a little checklist of things you can do at home. So first, find a space in your home that is designated for schoolwork. And I have a video, and I'm probably not going to play the video. Maybe I will, but when I share it, you can, and I'll share the video link, you can actually access that as well. And it's just on YouTube. It's just a woman who set up a home environment for her children to do online learning. So it's an example, and I put a couple articles as well that show a lot of examples. If you use Pinterest, I'm not really a Pinterest user, but if you go on there, you're also going to see many, many examples of how to set up a space in the home for this designated work area. So that could be, like I said, it could be a corner, could be a desk, could be a separate room, it could be a bedroom, but you've got to be careful in a bedroom, where do they play and where do they sleep and where do they do work? So you're going to want to have like designated spaces within that bedroom. Or is it at the kitchen table? Well, then what else do they do at the kitchen table? Maybe they have a certain seat at the kitchen table that means that that's where they do the schoolwork, and then a different seat where they have their meals or something like that. But there's got to be a distinguishing difference because it helps the students to focus on what is to be accomplished in that space. There's a workspace, and then there's the free space or the other recreational space or whatever. So that's important to know. Number 2, get organized. And by getting organized, again, and you could see in the video, and I love what this one woman did particularly, is she actually had everything set up right in that area. So there was charging station for the laptops and the phones. There were all kinds of utensils like the pencils and the markers and the highlighters, the notebooks were all in a bin right close to those computers and chargers. And then there was a space with seating where the students could work. So get organized. Think about how to make sure that you have all the, the things in their basket or a plastic bin or something where they can stay organized. And it doesn't have to be fancy, and it doesn't have to mean you go out shopping for new things, but just think about what you have at home. And I do this all the time when I'm reorganizing a space. I don't want to spend money on it. I just want to reorganize what I have. And I'm going to just take maybe a basket or a cardboard box or a bin or something when I want to put something in that. So just to organize. So get organized. That's going to be really critical for success. And that's true in life, right? The more organized we are, the more we get accomplished, the more clearly we can get stuff done. Okay, number 3, post your daily schedule. Somewhere, if you have a designated learning space at home, wherever that might be, try to have maybe the schedule posted, or write it on one of the sheets of paper and tape it up. Just to have that daily reminder, because it can be hard to track sometimes. When am I going online? When do I need to go and see my teacher? When do I have a small group? And it might change depending on small groups. The time might change in a day or from week to week. So it's really important that you have that schedule as a reminder. Get yourself organized even the day before. What do I have and what time? I know for me, we're in the digital age, so I put everything on my phone. As a parent, you might do that for your child. Put everything on the phone so you have alarms or something where you have that daily schedule. But for the student, it's always nice because in a teacher's classroom, they often will put a schedule so the student knows what their day is going to look like. So they don't get like too tired thinking, oh my gosh, how much longer? They have a general idea of when these things are happening in the day. Okay, number 4, post login instructions, usernames, and passwords. So this is important if you are prone to forgetting it or your child might forget it, just post it up somewhere. The password and the username and password that they have should get them into the computer, which gets them into Clever, which gets them into everything else. They shouldn't have to keep putting in new passwords. But if there is a site or something a teacher provides where they do need a different password or it requires a different login, try to keep track of that and put it in some place where the student quickly can be reminded of that, especially if they forget things, if they have a hard time remembering. Sometimes I know I've seen so many kids today, they're so much faster at this than most adults are. And they're like, I know where to go. I go here, here's my password, but if they have a hard time remembering, just put it somewhere where you can remember, or for yourself. So in case they forget, as well. All right. And number 5, I say create a checklist, which is kind of like getting organized. It's another component of being organized. But when you create a checklist, maybe it's at the end of the live time with the teacher and the teacher posted the assignments. What do you need to do before tomorrow? So you're going to want to then go and say, okay, I need to read this. I need to do this math. I need to write in this journal. What do you need to do? I need to talk to my mom for 5 minutes. I need to make a cake, whatever it is that you need to prepare and then get ready to do the next day. Even as adults, right? Like I said, I have lists galore. I have so many lists of things that need to get done because that's how we stay organized. It's just the only way. So make sure that you create a list so that you know that you're not missing something that you needed to do for the next day in particular, or the next week. Okay, and then the last one, number 6, and this is where you ask your students questions about their learning. I know that this is about workspaces, but also the fact that they're now at home more than they're out of the house, at school where they used to be, where they were talking to the teacher and classmates, and they could have conversations and all of this in a day. Well, now that they're at home, it's different, right? So who do they have to talk to? Maybe it's siblings, maybe it's family members, maybe it's neighbors. Who are they talking to, and are they talking about the learning, or are they talking about, what video game they played, or what movie they watched, or what their favorite animal is? But anything to get them talking about it is going to help put things in their long-term memory and make it more accessible when they have to use that information or knowledge that they've gained. So ask them questions. Some examples would be, what book are you reading? Or what story did you read today? Who were the characters in the story? Tell me about the math. And even simple things around the house that might be related. Oh, you learned about adding, let's add the silverware, or let's add, the bags of rice, or whatever, you have, the cans in the cupboards, or the number of apples. Use things in the house as well to just continue to reinforce that learning. I still remember to this day going to the grocery store with my parents when I was a little kid, and this was so many years ago now, but we would have conversations about the prices and how much money it would take, and do we have enough, and what are the bills we would use. And I just remember how valuable that was, just in sort of shaping how I think about interacting with the community and knowing basic skills. So the more you can talk about stuff and get your child to talk about stuff that they're thinking critically and about their learning, the better. Okay, that's my list. All right, here's a virtual workspace. Let me see if this, nope. Here's our YouTube. I was gonna play just a little bit of it so you can kind of see. You can even see in the video here, if you can see the screen, you see how she has a workspace set up. It's probably about a 10-minute video, so I'm not really gonna play it. Maybe I'll play a little clip here, but you see she's got a table and some chairs, and she's got some bins and all of the flashcards and notebooks and all the workbooks and all of that kind of stuff all in one location. So let me see if I can just play a little clip here. And I'm just going to take it to a couple. Oops.
You're not sharing your sound, just so you know.
Okay, thank you, Callie. I had a feeling that was, it's not automatic. I always think it's going to be automatic. Okay, let me try this again. Share computer's sound. Here we go.
Some clear plastic sleeves. So when they have like their instructions on what they need to do, I will just pull those out and slide that in, print them out, slide them in there, and I will probably find some way to hook them somewhere so we can reference back to them really quickly. Then over here, I have Josiah's I Can Read books, and I purchased him about 5 of them at Walmart, and then for some reason, they kept popping up for me as a recommendation, a Facebook ad. And so I went ahead and I was reading the comments. I had to do my research first. And I signed up him a subscription to I Can Read books. And it's $20 a month. And yesterday he actually got, I think, one upstairs because Jason and him was reading. He got.
Okay, I just wanted to share a clip of that so you can kind of see, and you could see, like I said in the beginning, you could see like the workspace generally. There was on the top of her counter, and you can go watch this later because I'm going to have the link in the attachment that I post. But she's got so many good examples, and you couldn't hear in the beginning, unfortunately, but she talked about how she got some things at Dollar Tree for $1 a piece. She got some things at Walmart for a very low cost. So again, you don't have to spend any money on it. I know we provided a bunch of things as well, so you don't have to, but there are some low cost options to make a learning space. Or, you know, I've got here in my kitchen, I don't know where I got this from, it's just a coupon holder, and that would be a good example of some place to put pencils or little flashcards or something like that. Like you might have things laying around. You might find them at a thrift store, you might find them, you know, who knows, at Target at the dollar spot, or Walmart at a, you know, in a low cost school supply area or something. So there's a lot of things out there, but you know, again, is whatever works for you. I just wanted to give you some ideas, and maybe again, if you like Pinterest or Googling things or watching YouTube, there's a lot of examples out there. Now that we've been doing this for a while, since March, people have come up with some creative ideas. So hopefully you find something that works for your space. Oops. Okay, next up we have our PE expectations, and we have the top 10 things. And we've got Ms. Thies here tonight, but I'll go ahead and go over those unless she wants to go over those. I couldn't hear you, but I think.
Keep going.
Okay. Okay, top 10 PE expectations. So first of all, Edison has a full PE program with a PE teacher, Coach Thies here. PE is part of the elementary school curriculum and is graded. Grading will be based on participation and effort in Zoom meetings for the grades TK through 5. And grading will be, there is no separate PE Zoom meeting this year. Last spring, there was a separate Zoom meeting, room number. Now you're just gonna be with your teacher, and Ms. Thies will come in and join your class. So we don't want students to have to log out, log back in, or get confused about that. We want them to go and just be in their class all together, and she joins in, teaches the class, and then pops out. Okay, so stay logged in when it's PE time. Grades 3 through 5 will have occasional assignments that will be found in Class Dojo and will be turned in on Class Dojo, and this is also part of their grade. If a child is going to be absent, they will have the opportunity to complete a PE assignment on Class Dojo to make up for the absence and maintain full PE credit. Okay, so there's every opportunity to make sure they get full PE credit. And of course, being at home, there's probably going to be a lot of things that are different about the PE exercises you can do at home. And I think Ms. Thies is going to, or Coach Thies is going to give you some ideas and examples, and we're probably going to add some special stuff coming up. It is important for your, if your child needs any accommodations, to let Coach know. And Coach loves hearing from parents, so please message her anytime on Dojo with any questions, comments, or concerns, or just to say hi. Share your PE activities with Coach Thies. Photos and videos are welcome, and I added this one, Coach, because I know, you know, if you're going to be out doing some fancy, exercise, or if you just wanted to show a picture or a video to share, I know she would appreciate it. We would all love it, because maybe we want ideas of ways we can exercise at home to stay fit. So, and number 10, have fun staying fit while you stay distant, safe, and healthy. Physical well-being is really important, especially when we're separated like this, because it's really great for social and emotional well-being. You know, I always say it's good for mental health to go for a walk, do some push-ups. You get your blood flowing, you get your heart rate up, and you're going to feel better if you're able. So this is in Espanol. I just wanted to share the slide so you can access this also and see these in Espanol. All right. And we do have supports for IEPs. We have Ms. Tokars is on here tonight. I don't think Ms. Gutierrez is, but both of them are our ed specialists, and they support our students with IEPs and the IEP process and what is included in the IEP to make sure it's clear to those implementing it. So they are going to receive their IEP services virtually. So whatever minutes they have in their IEP, they're going to get those virtually, just going to be online, until we receive permission to bring students back to campus. So right now we do not have permission to bring any students to campus for any reason. We just don't have permission yet due to the health regulations. But of course we will be letting you know if that changes. And that's actually point number 3 here. Upon district approval, our site teams will work to identify students who meet the criteria for on-site appointment-based learning. So that's coming soon. It's not here yet. So I just wanted to let you know, because you might have gotten a message from the district at some point that indicated that this was occurring, but it's not happening yet. So as soon as it is happening, then our site team will make determinations on which students would be prioritized for coming back for those appointments first. And it might be for, there are a set standard of reasons that the district put forward. And so we will follow those and we'll keep you informed as well. Okay, and of course, if you need any assistance with your IEP services, contact one of the ed specialists. I believe they will have their own list of students. They've broken up their, we call it caseload. They've broken up their list of students that they're each supporting. So I'm not sure if you're on here and your student has an IEP, which is which right now, but they will be reaching out to you and they will make themselves known to you as the support person for your student's IEP. All right, our counselor, as I had mentioned, Ms. Mendez is going to be on, as you probably know, she had a baby, so she's going to be on leave for a little while. She's here with us this week through this week. So she'll be with us through Friday. That's why you saw her on the morning meeting message, if you saw that. And she is going to have a sub. And as I mentioned earlier, if you were on earlier, you heard me say that the sub we had gotten a full-time job. So we're waiting to find out who the new assignment is going to be. And all of our visiting counselors, or we would call them a substitute or visiting counselor, are credentialed and they are equipped to provide the same supports that Ms. Mendez has been providing. And so she has shared with me that the sub will do everything that she does and will be able to make all the same referrals and provide all the same resources and do all the same assignments. So I'm excited about that. So we will definitely still have all of our counseling resources. And on this page, I shared a link to the counseling site, district site, so you can see links to other resources. So it tells you a lot about the programs that are available, and it links to other ones. Another thing that I just sort of screen clipped here, but I'll also add the attachments. Ms. Mendez told me she already shared these out, I think in the spring, but I'll share them again. And they also have links. They're not hyperlinked here. These are just pictures, but the actual document has links to these different resources. So if you need to know about the food bank, or if you need to know about mental health resources, or if you want to know what San Diego coronavirus status is, these are all links that we'll provide in an attachment, and it's in Spanish and English. Okay, so you're going to get all of this as well. Okay, but for now, you can contact Ms. Mendez. She said she's still available, obviously, through the end of the week, and then she'll be forwarding things to her her sub. Okay, health resources. So we still have a school nurse and 2 health techs. We actually have a new health tech helping us out 1 day a week this year. It's Miss Tran, but otherwise we still have Latrice and Mr. Yor. So Mr. Yor set up some stuff here. He's still here to provide all the same services as when it's in class. And he'll handle each request individually to provide an acceptable solution to the concerns. With no contact guidelines. So again, we have to maintain those specific guidelines put forward by health department. So he can, on an individual basis, support your student even remotely. And he's going to be providing soon a Zoom link for basically like a health office that's online. So you would be able to make an appointment with him and join him if you want to talk about the health needs of your child. Now, he's not a medical doctor if you have a medical doctor and have to work directly with that about specific things. But as far as school healthcare, school nursing, he's available for that. And he's happy to jump in and help in any way that he can or provide resources. Okay. And when he does have his virtual office, virtual nursing office, as you see here, he's going to have links to forms and links. So if, let's say, your child has a new diagnosis of diabetes or asthma, then you want to probably put that on the record. So we have that in the health file and can support accordingly. The forms and links will be available once he has that room set up. And I'll make sure to get that out to all parents when that comes up. Okay. And if you have any questions, of course, you can email him. There's his email there, and it'll be linked in the presentation that I share, where it's a hyperlink, okay? All right, of course, I've shared this on Class Dojo already, but the tech help, I know we've had, of course, more than ever in history, right? More tech questions about computers, login. Now, tech won't help you with login. If you need help with logging in, like what's the username and password, you can contact our office. Ms. Cruz in the office helps people all the time. Just call our main number and we can get you the username and password to get you in. All right. Otherwise, if it's like something's broken on your laptop, you need internet, the internet's not working quick enough, it's a slow internet and you need another hotspot in the house, or you have no internet. Of course, if you're on here tonight, you obviously have internet some way. So you can call either of these numbers. You'll notice there are 2 numbers. So again, one is for internet, the other one is for all the other technical questions. If you can't get into your Google Classroom, if the link doesn't work, if you can't get into Clever, you have questions about your account, any of those types of things, you can call them. Or again, your computer physically is not working, it's not turning on, it's not charging, that is who you're going to call. And during the first, when we did the pickup, we did exchange devices for people who needed it because we wanted to get computers that were working in the hands of students by the first day of school. However, moving forward, we will not be exchanging devices on our site. You have to call the number and they will work with you remotely to figure out whether it needs to be brought in or exchanged, or they can repair it. Okay, so that's a little different because we did want to make sure you all had devices ready and working if it was needed. However, now you call that number. That's going to be on in your phone directory, I would say. It's in mine when we need to call for tech help. Okay, And of course, it has the hours on there. All right, prime time after school program. The prime time after school program is going to be running this year. They still have space. The last time they told me, I think they still had space for about maybe 12 students. So they start today. They actually started today, but it's not too late if you wanted to get in. And again, they have a points system, so how they determine who qualifies, but they are accepting other applications. And right now, because they have space, it tells me that they have not received all the applications that we could potentially have. So if you have a student who's younger, now again, this is online, and so maybe that's a reason because you don't want more screen time. But from my understanding about this program is they're gonna basically create opportunities and experiences for things for kids to do in the house, like with their family. So they might, do some science experiments where you can all do it together as a family. But there is going to be something more than just looking at a screen and playing games or something like that. There's going to be activities that they create. Okay. But if you have any questions, I put the link here so you can click on the link when I share it, and it'll take you to the page for the application. It'll also take you to where you can see other options, like you want to read more about the program or what have you. Okay. So this link will get you to that place. All right, and then here is just sort of a one-stop shop of all the important links of things that we've talked about or you've received communication about, or that is in Clever. But the first one that I have, of course, is Clever, because that's your main login for all your academic stuff. And that's going to send you to a lot of these other things. So a lot of these that you see here, you can actually find in Clever. So that's like your home base. I believe even now, I can't see it, but I believe I've heard kids can even see their Class Dojo link in Clever. So if that's true, then you just log into Clever, then click on Class Dojo, okay? And then, or click on Google Classroom if you need to get to your assignments, if you're 3rd through 5th. Click on Seesaw, it's all gonna be in Clever. And also, but if you wanted to click on them separately, these are all different links or unique links to the site that Clever will take you to, okay? And the one on the top row that's not, I don't believe you're going to find in Clever though, it's the 3rd one on the top row. Edison website, that's just a link to our website. We got a new website, the whole district got new websites. They're a little bit funky right now, a little bit odd because the formatting is different, but we're going to start updating that as soon as we get a handle on it. It's just very different than the old site with, trying to edit. So just, that's something to keep in mind that you want to check as well. But of course we use Dojo, and we use School Messenger to send out messages to you. And then also on here that you're not going to find probably in Clever, I added some virtual field trips, Khan Academy, and our YouTube channel is now on here. That when you click on that link, once I share it, you're going to get to our YouTube channel. And then all across the bottom, almost all across the bottom where you see SD, USD, those are different resources from our district. And the back to school guide, for example, that I shared on Class Dojo, and more information about food and nutrition, which I just shared more information on Dojo yesterday regarding the menus, and of course the tech help as well. I just linked that in here. So this way you have a page with all the links on it. And then the workspaces one, I believe I think it links to a Pinterest page that just has lots of examples of ideas for your home workspace. And then a history page on Thomas Edison, because we are in fact Edison Elementary School. So I just have a link to his historical page. All right, and I also started a couple of social media accounts, more for celebrations than anything. It's not really going to be a place for announcements. It's just going to be a place to share sort of good things, happenings, celebrations, once we kick off the year and start seeing some things. So shout out to a teacher or impressed by student work. Of course, with your permission, if we're going to put a picture of your child, we want to know we have permission. Otherwise, we just won't put it, but we might share the work or the celebration certificate or something like that. Okay, so we do want to have a place to celebrate your kids. Okay, and that is it. We wrapped up the hour. It is 4 o'clock, and now we have some time for questions if anybody who's here has any questions.